In this video, we will dive into the movie Straw. We will discuss the storyline, summarize the plot, and explore the cast and characters. Additionally, we will cover the movie's production details and box office performance. Finally, we will provide reviews and share personal reaction. Taylor Perry's latest offering, Straw, a psychological crime drama streaming on Netflix since June 2025, is a raw and relentless dive into the life of a single mother pushed to her break point. Written, produced, and directed by Taylor Perry, the film stars Taraji Henson as Janiyah, a woman navigating a catastrophic day in Atlanta while caring for her ailing daughter. What began as a cascade of misfortunes spiraled into a shocking scenario, an accidental bank robbery that kept viewer on edge. With a stellar ensemble cast including Sherri. Synopsis: a single mother navigates a series of unfortunate events, leading her to an unforeseen part where she becomes embroiled in a situation she never envisioned, finding herself at the center of suspicions in an indifferent world. My take: who does not have a bad day? I just had one just yesterday. But what if on the particular day everything that could go wrong in your life does go wrong? Can you imagine the mental toll it would take on you? In one of his better films, writer, director, media mogul Taylor Perry tries his best to channel some of the executions and frustrations with the world through the filter of a struggling single mother in the form of a rare, unfiltered and emotionally devastating reflection of what happened when life, system and silence crush the human spirit. Produced in reportedly over just 4 days and built around Taraji Henson, who brings an absolutely raw and unforgettable performance as a mother pushed to the absolute edge. His premise exposes how to smallest injustice, like a delayed paycheck, a rude boss, a missed social worker call, can add up to the catastrophe for people's society threats like background noise and a finally breakdown. Sure, it is easy to discount the film as Taylor Perry version of John Q 2002, as it does contain the signature cryings we have all come to expect from his production. But it does not mentor much and the narrative. Even the melodramatic is handled with a adequate finance to keep us invested. While I was not completely sold on the climatic twist, something which in my opinion felt more like pile on the so many issues the protagonist was already facing, the Netflix releases forces you take it seriously and a lot of it to so credit to solid performance who make us feel every ounce of desperations and pain. The story follows Taraji Henson, a single mother who is past her point of exhaustion, living in a loud, hot and dumpy apartment with her precocious young daughter, Garbely E. Jackson's, with nagging medical issue, when even with her 3 jobs, Janiyah is struggling to make ends meet. On a day full of unfortunate events for her, including being threatened with eviction, getting fired from her thankless cashier's positions at the local grocery store, her kid being confiscated from school after the principal's sequel to Child Protective Services, and her car getting impounded after a crooked off-duty police officer pit maneuver her car out of range and leaves her with a threat. Janiyah finds herself pushed past the brink. She even finds herself held at gunpoint as she was urging her boss to release her last paycheck, only to see a band of robbers charge into the back office to empty the store vault. One thing leads to another, and soon enough, Janiyah is in the middle of a hostile situation at a bank when her attempt to cash her bloody last paycheck raises alarm bells with the teller and the bank manager, Sherri. Right from the very first frame, the film captured attention not through spectacle, but through stillness, and what makes the narrative admirable is its restraint. It never shouts and never begs to be noticed. Instead, it invites you gently to sit with discomfort and dwell in its ambiguity. Its emotional impact is not immediate, but lasting. Yes, Paris script does not always trust the audiences to get a message, but the point lands about how the suffering of an African American woman are often ignored. Despite billed as a thriller, this one is at once a personal story of struggle and loss and is a social commentary on an unfair and exploitative system. The Janiyah working class story highlights how widespread oppression has the power to push one over the edge. In the scene, one could do everything the right way and for the right reason. But when the circumstances are so heavily stacked, there is little choice but to break. While the world at large is indifferent and uncaring toward Janiyah and her insurmountable struggle, the film remains sensitive and empathetic. Understandably, the portions involving the police and a young black woman Detective Key Remount, Teyana Taylor, who requests to be lead negotiator, are a bit over dramatized. She sees the situations mirror her own challenging childhood after being brought up by a single mother. But the fact that she has such free rein, especially with the decisions officers around her and the FBI on the brink of intervention, seems a little impulsive. However, one of my biggest issues with the film's plot is the ending, which kicks off with a big plot twist that actually left me feeling a little emotional and sympathizing with Janiyah, but then quickly turns into a cop-out conclusion. A random vision of cops storming the bank she is believed holding hostage and shooting her down not only feels so out of place compared to the rest of the film's tone, but is also immediately undone. She is calmed down by the bank manager, Nicole, horribly enjoying all the tensions that was so carefully crafted. Nevertheless, the film deserves a watch specifically for Taraji Henson's magnificent performance. Her portrayal of Janiyah is the gut-wrenching embodiment of every single parent who had to smile while starving, fight while falling apart, and beg while being ignored. The Oscar nominee really holds nothing back, making every misunderstanding and misstep feels all the more painful for us to watch. She is also well supported by Sherri, who shines as the sober bank manager, who remains empathetic in crisis, and Teyana Taylor, who is impressive despite the shaky characterizations she was being handed. On the whole, Straw is heart-wrenching, was encoded by Taraji Henson's devastatingly emotional performance. Honestly, when I hear I had to watch another Taylor Perry movie, I was regretting my life choices. But I am happy to report that I might actually enjoy this one a little bit more than everything I have seen from him in the last 8 months. This is not to say that Straw is a good movie. The truth is, it's commendable what Taylor Perry's done in all these years with his empire. Yes, I think it's an empire, and it's pretty darn fascinating. But with great power comes great responsibility. Even avoid fans probably think that the big man needs to hit the brakes just for a bit. Concentrate on the quality of the stories he is putting out in order to make them feel more authentic than falsely dramatic. Straw tells the story of Janiyah, a single mother who is desperate from some money for her 8-year-old daughter's medication. One fine day, she wakes up and nothing seems to be working out for her. Things get really out of hand after a road rage incident, turning her world entirely upside down. What follows is a dramatic set of events leading to an accidental robbery. What Taylor Perry does best is thriller flying common family drama. But the problem is that it often ends up looking so over-dramatized that you can't take any of it seriously. While I believe that the cinematic tragedy that we witness in Paris filmography is absolutely real. It often feels overbearing rather than something to feel sympathetic toward. Maybe it's an ours problem. That's not to say that he should stop telling those stories because they are important and it gives voice and visibility to people who don't get it otherwise. The reason straw swapped these saturations is because of the lead actress Holland. The power with which Taraji Henson presents this character is admirable. She is both sensitive and raging. But most importantly, you can feel her heart break through the screen. In all honesty, I don't think it would be as impactful if anybody else played this role. It might have instead come across as jarring or unhinged. She looks like the part with her hair all over the place, her clothes dirty, and her tears flowing. She is raw with emotion. Perry uses every opportunity to shape this movie like a thriller, from discovery to fear of a bomb in a transparent children's bag, gun violence, and insufferating police priorities. So, I suppose you could say you would get a little bit of an underline rush while watching the film. What I genuinely appreciated about this movie, in particular, is the power of female character. Not only is the main lead a raking woman, but it is a cop, a bank manager, and even an elderly woman, all of whom have meaningfully roles to play in the story. Plot-wise, the movie definitely struggled to appear logical, especially with the involvement of the police and the FBI. There is also an unnecessary twist at the end, not related to the main plot of the film. You will understand what I am saying if you watch it. Occasionally, it feels like a soap fest. Too, I am sure it's meant to be moving, but it definitely feels a little bit torture after a certain point. That dialogue also defies logic at same point, but for the most part, is typically Perry. This film is well paced. I feel like it could have been trimmed by 15 minutes at least. Teyana is great as a calm and resilient detective. She commands the screen when she is around, and it's great to see a female detective so empowered and well grounded. Not taking anyone's crap, Sherri plays Nicole. She is like the voice of reasons of Janiyah in the bank. I love that the film is so female oriented, rather than making it feel like these women need help, which I find as a commonly in Perry films. It makes them independent, even if they are struggling. It's also multiple types of women, all suffering in their own way, on their own level. But it never feels like we need to pay attention to one over the other. Visually, I personally feels like trailer fairies film need a makeover. Just as a happy film does not have to look all sunshine and rainbows for us to know it's happy. A dark movie doesn't have to actually be dark on screen to resonate emotionally. Yes, his subjects are always going to be black, but his signature sepia filter is getting boring. Perry does a great job building tension, even if it's a little bit unnecessary. Sometimes it does come across as confusing, because I am here to watch a drama about a struggling black woman. Or what exactly? I am not entirely sure. But hi, this is the trailer Perry genre of film. I think this is the kind of film that is designed to make you feel anxious. Within the first 20 minutes, the main character goes through so much distress that you are just left wondering how she is even standing up straight. It's kind of exhausting. Additionally, there's a lot of screaming in those same 20 minutes, really pushing you to turn it up because it feels very overwhelming. Overall, this movie is a little bit underwhelming. Yet, if you are a fan of Taraji, I would recommend it. Also, if you like Perry's work in general, You could find this onto your weekend watch list. The film is suited for a black mood, but you don't have to feel extra stressed out by it. If your personality already got black covered, then definitely skip this one. I would give Straw 2.5 out of star. Fortunately, it's half a standard that watching it won't be the last straw for a long-time Perry fan. Straw is a thriller directed by this talented Terry Perry. Straw movie review among the most detail-oriented director you will ever meet. If you go and watch some of his movie, you will understand his competitiveness in the entertainment industry. However, Straw's storyline seems to be harsh on the female protagonist. She struggled to arrange money of herself and her daughter while her fate has struck in her diabolical situations throughout the movie. The movie reflects the difficulties of being a single mother and highlights the extra frustrations put on the character. Straw looked more forced than implemented, as it feels like Janiyah, the single mother, is targeted by every person she passed by. The story has a severe lack of depth and coordinate in its implementation. Moreover, the difficulties Janiyah has endured throughout the movie do impact the audiences, but there is all they will fail in the whole film. The plot of the movies has become so predictable that we can second guess what might happen to her next. Let us start from the very beginning of the incident. The first incident you will notice when Janiyah went to her daughter area school. After reaching the school, she had to deal with Child Protective Services. Moreover, she seems to have some mental issue with the landlord and thus for evicted from her house. In the next series of incidents, she lost one job where she worked as her boss was to Marcel on his employee. Therefore, it feels like the plot is all about the whole world targeting Janiyah. Moreover, these incidents unfolded even more when Janiyah took the opposite part of the law. The movie intended to build tension with every other incident happening to her. She was allegedly blamed of the robbery case when all she did was help the people out here. However, she turned out to be the villain of the case. Moreover, the ending was indeed very emotional, but scarcely made sense. Janiyah was not ready seen of robbery for something she did not do. Straw does not reflect much of effort in its making. Rather, it feels more like a movie made to pump the world's frustrations into it. The movie was made to leave a message to be kind to single mother, and thus did not need some high-five editing in it. However, the visual designs in this movie were not all convincing. It looked right, the production's team just rented some business buildings for their shots. These buildings were not improvised for shooting and were used as they were. Moreover, the outfit provided to be character are nothing but designed to are well too simple and obvious. If we point out a mistake, one of the biggest flaws was in the rain sequence, where the lighting and background did not align. This made the scenes and visual designs of the movies frustrated. The only part one I liked from the bottom of my heart was Taraji. Henson's acting throughout the movie. She played the role with the utmost sincerity, even when the script had gaps and fault. The twisted plot of the movie was effectively played by her such that the audience could feel her pain with every passing scene. Moreover, it is her excellence that has made the movie worth watching even after its no-point script. We won't say much about the rest of the cast as they did not fill up to their mark in the movie. However, Henson has done a great job and satisfied the role with the perfection. Moreover, her life was sorted after the bank manager Nicole helped her get free from the robbery case as well as he helped her get a good paying job. Nicole was a character in this movie with a kind heart and generosity, which made her stand by Janiyah's side when in need. We are not sure whether you will like the plot of the movie or not. But you will surely like Henson's acting throughout the movie. Even after all the struggles she endured, she always found herself stuck in some even more difficult situation. The movie attempted to make an inspirational and miserable movie to dedicate to all the single mother who was struggling in the movie. However, its delivery could have been better. Taraji Henson is a struggling single mom, pushed to the brink intense trailer for trailer. Perry's straw. I did not mean to do this. Something inside of me broke, Henson says in the trailer of her Perry's upcoming thriller. The first trailer for Taylor's Perry's Straw, released Wednesday, May 14, sees the 54 years old actress portray Janiyah, a single mother who will do anything to help her ill daughter. I did not mean to do this. Something inside of me broke, Henson says in the trailer while holding a gun inside a bank as cops surround the building. Sherri Shepherd characters approaches Janiyah, telling her, "We need to figure all this out. I did not want you to get hurt." This movie also stars Teyana Taylor, Gillian Turman, Sinbad, and Rockmont Johnber. Never miss a story that a single mother's world unravels in shows as her day goes from bad to worse of catastrophic as she struggle to care for her ill daughter. The official synopsis read, pushed to the brink by a world that seems indifferent to her existence, she is forced to confront impossible choice in a society that offers her no safety net. Speaking with Entertainment Weekly, Henson shared what drew her to the role and why she related to her character Janiyah. "This one is thriller, and I have never done a thriller with Taylor, so I was interested in that." Henson said, "There is a twist that happens that you don't see coming, would you not? In a sense, I can't give away too much, so I am trying to talk around it. But there is some crazy twists and turns in detail take you the surprise that absolutely take the character by surprise." Taylor Perry has made a lot of movies in his career, but none of them have been quite like Straw. The Netflix film sees Taraji Henson play a woman named Janiyah, a working class mother who is genuinely having one of the worst days of her life. She is managing her job as a grocery store cashier while she is trying to care for her sick daughter. But when she gets fired, things take a turn for the absolute worst. Straw is a mixed bag in terms of critical and audience response so far. The reviews are mixed, as the film holds a 44% score on Rotten Tomatoes. Screenwriter Grant Hermans gave the movie 4 out of 10 stars, praising Henson's performance but raising concerns about the movie's storyline and production quality, despite some negative reviews. However, Straw has done incredibly well on streaming since it released to Netflix, regularly making its charts even with its glaring flaws. The trailer contains several elements that makes it most shocking Perry movies to date. Janiyah's story is dramatic and stirring. Straw is a thriller with genuine twists and turns. Easily the biggest twist in the movie is a shocking reveal that Janiyah's daughter, Aria, actually died of a seizure the night before the events of the film. This is a Fight Club-esque moment when Perry forces audiences to rethink the event they just saw on screen in the movie's first and second act. The twist vastly changed the perception of Janiyah's internal mental state, and it comes almost at very end of the film. Most audiences think about Perry dressed up as a woman for the media movies. Straw is a complete departure from Perry's best-known work. In fact, it arguably features no comedy at all. Drama is not completely new territory for Perry, as he recently came from 688 and My Fault last year. But an intense psychological crime drama like this is very unusual for the director. Henson is an Oscar and Emmy nominee with an impressive list of credits behind her. But Straw holds its own within her oeuvre. Henson can dial her emotions up to 10 and stay there for most of the film. She still navigates in and out of Janiyah's complex feeling as the film proceeds, playing a highly unconventional bank robber. Nonetheless, it's Henson's performance that sells every plot twist. Without her grounding the movie, it would be too over the top at times, but she truly shines in the role. Satraw's themes involving system failing people and bureaucracy having a tangible social impact and clear from early on. But as the plot and Janiyah's psyche unravel, so too does the social services hellscape at hand. Multiple systems are seen failing Janiyah either in her head or literally, including child protective services, healthcare, and the police system. Even the bank system, with its requirement for ID and understanding, is a nightmare for Janiyah. While Sitra may arguably have too many systems at hand, it makes the movie stakes feels incredibly real as they are systems that real people navigating through. Straw has a linear structure that adds to its suspense. The movie takes place only over the course of one night, and the bulk of its story centers around the multi-hour period in which Janiyah holds up the bank. Even in this half of the day, there are multiple players working simultaneously to make sure nothing bad happens to the workers or other people in the bank setting. This structure creates a frantic driven energy that really moves Straw forward. The linearity adds to the stress evoked by the film, and Perry never gives viewer a break from the tension. Straw has a lot going on thematically and psychologically as is chronicle Janiyah's story. But the film is also able to build tension on a plot level in the bank hostage situation. Straw starts out as a more jaw drama and later becomes a full-on inside man in scare. Multiple police officers are working to be escalate this crisis in partial collaborations with the bank manager, Nicole and Janiyah herself. There are the innocent bank patrons who feel the terrifying claustrophobia of the situation. There is even a live stream element as the tale becomes more broadcast, increasing the scope. Perry himself has stated that while Straw is not based on true story, it's inspired by the stress that real people go through. This real-world basis is unsurprising when watching the film, as the movie is by far Perry's biggest foray into realism. Janiyah faces very tangible and harsh circumstances based on her life situation. She is in poverty and undergoes very real life consequences of not paying bill, including eviction and the ability to take out money from the bank. Janiyah's boss also attempts to commit wage theft against her, highlighting the direness of the situation. All of these elements do not fully tie together in Straw. The movie ultimately received mixed review, including a 44% Rotten Tomato score and a 56 on Metacritic. Despite this negative review, some of the positive comments have been praise of Henson and the film for its ambition. It's undeniable that there is a lot at hand Perry's film, as he plays around with story structure, intensity, realism, and other elements that are extremely heightened from his visual work. This makes Straw among his most ambitious yet. While Perry is prolific in terms of the volume of films he produces, they have not always been incredibly received, while Straw is getting mixed review. It is notable that the movie has been such a major hit for Netflix. This global release fuels buzz about the film and is important to the health of Perry overall. Relationship with Netflix. The movie was not only a success in the Paris home turf of the United States, but its first week saw it reach number 1 in 26 countries, including Mexico, the United Kingdom, and South Africa. This global release fueled buzz about the film and is important to the health of Paris' overall relationship with Netflix. Overall, the most surprising element of Satra is that it could signal a being turn in Paris' career. Straw is not just a drama, but it is incredible stance. So far, Perry has not completely abandoned comedy in his career, as he recently created a comedy drama series called Divorce Sister. Still making a drama, especially when this intense, sets new expectations as to what he's capable of. The global hit status could further incentive the creator to make more drama, as Perry potentially transactions into new genre territory. He will have to work hard to be taken seriously. Straw shows that he is ambitious when it comes to genre tropes, but the reviews also know that he has significant gaps when it comes to maintaining a high caliber in this genre. Shifting to drama would be a fascinating turn from a multifaceted talent best known for the media movies, but it is one of that critics might warm up to this slowly. Taraji P. Henson addresses the surprise daughter's twist in Trial Paris Straw. Written and directed by Perry, Netflix's new psychological crime drama stars Henson as Janiyah, a single mother caring for her chronically ill daughter, Aria Gabby Jackson's, who must deal with a series of unfortunate events that cause her to come into conflict with Dilla. Satra's ending revealed that Aria actually passed away the night before, and a flashback shows that Janiyah had only been hallucinating her presence the entire day. In an interview with Decider, Henson addressed Straw's daughter twist, saying she was genuinely surprised by it when first reading the script. She went on to say that her daughter's death explains Janiyah's detached behavior, showing she had mentally shaped the day before she was functioning on an autopilot in Daniel. Read her full comment below. I was not either when I was reading it. I was like, reading the script, I was blown away. But then it made sense in her action, because what it showed me was that she snapped a long time ago. She snapped the day before. She was just on automatic. She was not even in her body. To be quite honest, I just played the honesty of her living the life, as if nothing happened. Asked if her character was ever supposed to die at the end of Straw, Henson explains that originally she was, but Perry changed it to spare both the character and the audiences from a devastating ending. It was then Perry said, I can't do that her and the audiences because this will just kill them. So that's why he ended it why he did, which I thought was great. Straw's title twist referenced the entire movie's narrative, leading into a major flashback sequences that reveal Aria, who appeared early on, was merely a figment of Janiyah's imagination. These revelations many earlier seen, revealing that Janiyah's psychological breakdown is far more unsettling than it initially appeared. Rather than just experiencing a single bad day, Janiyah was already teetering on the edge of madness, burdened by the immense weight of her grief. Straw reviews her criticized Perry's poor writing, including some criticism aimed at whether the daughter twist feels somewhat extra to film's overall theme. However, Henson explains why the twist makes sense, saying that it shows how she snapped a long time ago. The twist clarifies Janiyah's behavior, showing that she had already been mentally broken, operating on autopilot and detached from reality. Henson approached the role by emphasizing Janiyah's Daniel and numbness, living as nothing had happened. Ultimately, the daughter twist translator Straw from a typical crime drama into a more devastating portrait of grief and psychological collapse. By revealing that Janiyah's desperate action were driven by unbearable loss, Perry ensures that audiences view her not as a cold-blooded criminal, but as a shattered mother grasping as at sanity. It's not about excusing her crime, but understanding them, the emotional weight of areas that make Janiyah's breakdown tragically inevitable, and make sympathy for her feel heartbreakingly genuine. Tyler Perry and Taraji Henson's new thriller movie has become a global Netflix hit despite as its 46% Rotten Tomato score. Perry is an actor, writer, director, and producer who is perhaps best known for playing media in over a dozen movies. In recent years, he has made movies mostly for Netflix, writing and directing A Fall from Grace, A Media Homecoming, A Jasmus Blues, Mia Culpa, and D6888, many of which were panned by critics, but were somewhat popular on the streaming services. Henson, on the other hand, is an acclaimed actress who rose to prominence playing a prostitute in Hustle and Flow 2005. But it was her performance as a nursing home caretaker in David Frenchicker's The Curious Case of Benjamin Button 2008, that earned her an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. Another one of her most acclaimed roles in the mathematicians Katrin Johnson in Hidden Figure. Henson has also starred in several of Perry's movies, including The Family That Prays 2008, I Can Do Bad All By Myself 2009, and Arimini 2018. Straw has become a global Netflix hit, ranking as the number one film for the week, written, directed, and produced by Tyler Perry. The psychological thriller stars Taraji Henson as Janiyah, a single mother caring for her chronically ill daughter, Aria, who must deal with a series of unfortunate events that cause her to come into the conflict with the law. In addition to Henson in the lead role, Straw's cast also includes Sherri Shepherd, Teyana Taylor, Sinbad, Rockman Dumber. Now following its release on June 6, Tyler Perry and Taraji Henson's thriller has become a global hit on Netflix. Straw ranks first on Netflix Global Top 10 Movies for the week of June 2 to 8 within 25.3 million views and 45.5 million hours viewed. It ranks above Now You See Me, B Movies M.G. Gan, known as Rat of the Titan, Aquaman, and The Lost Kingdom. Now You See Me Too, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, and The Wild Robot. Straw is Netflix's number one movie this week, despite its mixed reviews, resulting in its 46% Rotten Tomato score. Straw's reviews largely agree that the movie suffers from poor writing, heavy-handed melodrama, and weak supporting performances. Many praise Taraji Henson's acting for elevating the material, while Tyler Perry's movies often struggle to win over critics. Their consistent success on Netflix proves that they continue to resonate with audiences worldwide. Straw has now debuted on Rotten Tomato with an audience score, and viewers seem to be liking the new thriller, featuring Perry as writer, director, and producer. The new Netflix film stars Taraji Henson is Janiyah, a single mother with a chronically ill daughter who, after a series of unfortunate events, finds himself on the wrong side of the law. In addition to Henson, the Straw cast also includes Sherri Shepherd, Teyana Taylor, Sinbad, Ashley Versher, and Rockmode Dumber, among others. Following the film's release on June 6, Rotten Tomatoes reveals that Straw has started strong with an 81% score from over 100 audiences rating. This score could fluctuate as more reviews are added. The film is off to an impressive start, No critic score has taken shape just yet, but one will likely appear as more reviews emerge online. Perry is one of the most successful creators in Hollywood, and he's built up a passionate audiences following over the past 2 decades. Straw marks Perry's follow-up to the thriller Perry's Duplicity 2025, and a new film is already fighting for better than its predecessor. Duplicity has only a 25% popcorn emitter score on Rotten Tomatoes, clearly indicating a lack of acceptance from reviewer. As seen in the chart below, Straw is also faring better than the 6888 2024, and it's featured the highest audience score out of Paris' last 5 movies. There is no critics score for Straw. Things are looking mixed so far. From the 8 reviews available on Rotten Tomatoes, 5 are fresh and they are rotten. In his Straw review for Screen Rant, Grant Halmanens awarded the film a lackluster for 4 out of 10. Trudy praised Henson for her strong leading performance. He criticized the film for looking cheaply made and for featuring a story that is often frustrating and unbelievable. Read an excerpt from his review below. Stories of characters snapping after one bad date to immediately need a sense of urgency or a catalyst to effectively convey motivation behind a protagonist going on a rampage. Of sorts, but Straw's setup is too forced to the point of being predictable. From Janiyah's trip to her daughter's school, resulting in an unfortunate appearance by Child's Protective Service, to the threat of evictions coming true, and her boss showing nothing but apathy for his employee. It feels like everyone out to get her. Many of Paris' movies do not fare well with critics. From the script to the character work to the themes, these films just often struggle to make much of mark for the critical community. It's with audiences, however, that Perry has built such a unsuccessful career, and his continued success as a career speaks to just how much viewer demand there is for material that has name on it. Straw may end with a mixed response from critics, but audiences are evidently connecting with Janiyah's story and its tragedy. Straw don't end up being as a big a hit as Paris media movies. The popcorn meter score suggests it could end up being a modest viewership win, even if it's not a mega hit. The film seemingly features a low enough budget that the bar for success could be relatively low. It remains to be seen how Straw's Rotten Tomato score will evolve over the next few weeks, but Perry's run as a writer, director, and producer is evidently far from over. Straw, the latest trailer Perry film starring Taraji Henson, has the internet in a frenzy. You are signing up for a roller coaster ride of emotions, but one thing I truly hope you take away from it is the power of empathy. Here's why you should watch. 1. Okay, let's start with the basics. Straw follows Janiyah Wiltkinson, a single mother who is just trying to take care of her sick daughter. Despite working 2 jobs, Janiyah still struggles to maintain the bills and the decent living situations while taking care of both of them on her own. 2. There is no slow burn or steady escalations. This drama immediately grabs your attention because over the course of one chaotic day, the events that unravel in Janiyah's life go from bad to worse to hell. If you think you were had to bad, I can guarantee you Janiyah's day will top it. The movie is led by none other than Oscar-nominated actor Taraji Henson, so I already knew it was in good hands. With notable projects under her belt like Baby Boy, Empire, Think Like a Man, Hidden Figures, Minions, and Rise of Guru, and The Color Purple, displaying range in something Taraji is very familiar with. Straw was directed, written, and produced by Taylor Perry, I know some of why I like to stress us when it comes to him, but hear me out. Taylor often faces a lot of criticism for the way he depicts black people, particularly black women, in his projects. Black women struggling, abuse, and poverty are some of the common themes used in his movies and TV shows. Do they show it in etc.? Yes, but this story is so much more than that. Although Janiyah's story is fictional, the obstacles she faces are a reality for millions of families, for both two-parent households and single-parent homes around the world. Janiyah's story is a testament to the length a parent is willing to go to provide for and protect their child, despite the creeping limits placed on them. It's a story of survival, perseverance, grief, and an unwavering love. Along with Taraji's captivating performance, the cast as a whole really pulls the films together. We get to see Sherri in a different, dramatic light as she portrays bank manager Nicole. She is forced to act weakly when her life and job are put in jeopardy. But not everything is as it seems. I am so used to seeing Sherri in comedic role or hosting her daytime talk show, so watching her in this role was refreshing. We also get to experience multi-hyphenate entertainer Teyana Taylor sharpening her acting chops as Detective K. Demond. The Harlem in her jumped out as I watched her on screen, but I enjoyed seeing her relationship with Taraji's character play out. In today's society, incident of police brutality are still common. So the way Taylor chose to explore the dynamic was interesting. Despite having an obvious protagonist to root for, viewers are also given characters that push our buttons and get on our last nerves. Who doesn't like seeing the antagonist lose? I won't say too much about the who or why, but I will just leave these spot photos here. This movie might sound like just a drama, but it's actually marketed as a psychological crime drama. And baby, whenever something is filled under psychological, you know there is going to be a twist. Because psychological thrillers are my favorite genre when it comes to movies, TV and books. I have gotten pretty good at discovering pieces to the puzzle and or solving the twist before it's actually revealed. But I can honestly say I did not see this one coming. I won't give it away, but I will add that it will change everything for you. Lastly, if you are still not completely sold, it is currently number 1 on Netflix. My timeline cannot stop talking about it. Here is what some people are saying about it online. Taylor Perry's straw keeps audiences waiting with bated breath until the very last minute, when a bomb spell reveal changes the entire course of the movie. The Netflix thriller, which was released on June 6, Taraji Henson as a Janiyah, a single mother struggling to provide for her sick daughter. Area after losing her job and her home. Janiyah becomes desperate to get the medicines Area needs. In a shocking moment, Janiyah goes to the bank with the intention of trying to cash a check, but instead finds herself carrying a gun and then holding people hostage. As the film unfolds, Janiyah receives support from the bank manager, Nicole Sherri's Shepherd and Detective Demand, who both listen to her struggle and try to de-escalate the situation. Janiyah did scare me a lot. Henson told people ahead of the movie's release. I was drawn to his character because I love giving a voice to the voiceless. I want anybody but out there who identifies with Janiyah who know Daddy there is not alone and you are seeing and I see you. So what happened to Janiyah and her daughter? Here is the straw ending explained. Janiyah is a single mother trying to care for her ill daughter, Area, but as the expenses from the medical bills add up, she finds herself struggling to get Area the care she needs. The film follows her on the worst day of her life as she gets fired, evicted, and robbed at gunpoint. After she is framed for the robbery, Janiyah heads to bank to cash a check to need to buy medicine for her daughter. However, she forgets she doesn't have her ID and is unable to get the money. On her last draw, she pulls out a gun from the robbery. The bank manager, Nicole, silently alerts authorities, and before she knows it, Janiyah has found herself in charge of a hostage negotiation. The lead investigator's detective Raymond finds herself sympathetic to Janiyah and encourages her to turn herself in. At the end, Janiyah eventually frees all the hostages in the bank. Just before she is about to surrender herself outside the bank, Janiyah gets a call from her mother, who informs her that her daughter had died the night before from a seizure. Janiyah then gets flashbacks showing how she was with Arya at the hospital when she died, but became so grief-stricken and traumatized that she automatically proceeds with her life as if nothing had happened. The movie that cuts to a scene showing the police breaking in and storming the bank to shoot and kill Janiyah. However, it turns out that it was only a hypothetical situation. In reality, Janiyah lets Nicole take her out of the bank and peacefully puts her hand up to get arrested. Although the film initially ends with the police storming the bank and killing Janiyah, she actually comes to terms with her situation before they get the opportunity. After remembering the truth about her daughter, Janiyah seems to finally understand her reality and the gravity of her situation and surrenders herself to the police. The final scene shows police handcuffing Janiyah while she looks out at Spotter, chanting "Free Janiyah" as she gets into the cop car. Henson previously revealed that Perry originally wrote the script with Janiyah drawing an area surviving, but he decided to switch the role. Then Perry said, "I can't do that to her," and the audiences become "This list just killed him." Henson told Decider ahead of the movie's release, so that's why he ended it why he did, which I thought was great. Throughout the film, Janiyah goes on her day as she normally would to help her provide for her daughter. She is seen working up with Arya, dropping her off at school and even getting a call from the school principal about potentially calling child services over business found on Arya's body. However, after she receives a call from her mother informing her of Arya's death the previous night, Janiyah reflects on the day and realizes that she was actually alone. In flashbacks, she realizes that the principal of Arya's school was confused with Janiyah showed up at the premises and called her later that day about overdue bill, not because of a threat from child services. That moment allows Janiyah to snap back to reality so she can safely turn herself into the police surrounding the bank. Although Nicole was the bank manager who called the police and assured them that Janiyah had a gun and potentially a bomb, she quickly becomes sympathetic toward her situation. After Janiyah allows all the hostages to flee the bank, Nicole willingly stays to ensure that she safely surrenders herself to the police. Later, Janiyah learns that Nicole knew all along that her daughter was dead after police informed her that Janiyah was in the midst of a breakdown. Nicole uses this information to successfully convince Janiyah to turn herself in. One of the final moments show the two exiting the bank while holding hands and raising them up to surrender. Before Janiyah gets escorted away, she thanks Nicole for saving her life. Meanwhile, Janiyah also finds support from Raymond, who seems to understand Janiyah's mental state and the consequent action that spiral out of control. The two women connect, and Raymond listens to what Janiyah needs before surrendering. At one point, Janiyah learns that a police officer who previously threatened her life was present at the hostage scene. So she is scared to leave. Raymond worked to identify the officer. But by that point, the FBI is involved that takes over. Despite Raymond no longer being in charge, she breaks the rules and approaches the bank with a photo of the officer whom she believes was the one threatening Janiyah's life. Janiyah confirms that it was the correct man. So Raymond assures her that he is no longer off the scene. The movie closes that Raymond putting Janiyah in the back of a police car as she willingly surrenders. First trailer of Thriller Patty's Straw, released Wednesday, May 14, sees the 54-year-old actress portray Janiyah, a single mother who will do anything to help her ill daughter. I did not mean to do this. Something inside of me broke, Henson says in the trailer while holding on a gun inside a bank. As cops surround the building, characters approaches Janiyah, telling her, "We need to figure this out. I don't want you to get hurt." Speaking with Entertainment Weekly, Henson shared, "Why do you have to role and why she relate to her character Janiyah? This one is thriller, and I have never done a thriller with trailer. So I was interested that," Henson said, "there is a twist that happens that you don't see coming, a watch unit in a sense. I can't give away too much, so I am trying to talk around it. But there is some crazy twist and turns in there that will take you by surprise. That absolutely take the character by surprise." Janiyah is a woman who does not have much in life, but she has a lot of love for her child. The Color Purple actress shared, "I am a single mother, so I understood her journey and her struggle. She is a single mother trying to make the best of the cards that she has been dealt in life. She finds herself in a horrible situation where on one of those bad days, you wake up and everything that could go wrong goes wrong. It's about how she maneuvers through it," Henson added. Taraji Henson addresses the surprise daughter twist in Taylor Barristraw, written and directed by Patty. Netflix new psychological crime drama stars Henson as Janiyah, a single mother caring for her chronically ill daughter, Aria Gaby Jackson, who must deal with a series of unfortunate events that cause her to come into conflict with the law. Straw's ending reveals that Aria actually passed away the night before, and a flashback shows that Janiyah had only been hallucinating her presence. Tyler Perry is not beating the allegation. For decades, the content creating studio chief has been wrongly criticized for making the triumphation of black women a president persistent theme in his work. In Straw, his latest exercise in misogyny for Netflix, he pulls out his stops to break the camel's back. The Janiyah pick for this cultural satiric task is Janiyah, an apex caricature who is the past point of exertion. Her loud heart and jumbly apartment is not all that keeps her in perennial discomfort. There is also a precious young daughter with nagging medical issue, and that eviction notice on the dining table. She can't make ends meet despite working 3 jobs, and her cashier's position at the local food dessert grocery store is especially thankless. When an angry customer spikes a bottle of fizzy drink at Janiyah's feet, her boss orders her to stand down from her busy checkout line to clean up the mess. When Janiyah unwittingly cuts off an undercover cop in traffic after begging off the register to run a quick errand, he throws his iced coffee drink at her car and threatens to find a legal way to blow your brains out. In the end, Janiyah is ticketed for driving on an expired lessons. Her car is impounded and she is forced to find her way back to work on foot on the kind of surprise monsoon that Perry keeps in the forecast to further break down his female protagonist and verily. Things to indeed get worse. Her irascible boss Glim fires her for deserting her post. Her landlord empties the meager content of her jumpy apartment onto the curb, and her kid is confiscated from school after the principal's sequel to Child Protective Services. At her wit's end, she tracks back to the grocery store to urge her boss to release her last paycheck, only for both of them to wind up held up at gunpoint when a band of robbers charge into the back office to empty the store vault. There is a glimmer of hope when one of the robbers attacks Janiyah, and she fires him off and kills him with his own gun. But her boss is convinced he is because the attacker knew her. Turns out the girl only read her name tag, but the boss is already running with his story while on the phone with 911. When he threatens to take her down and twist the knife, Janiyah finally snaps and shoots him dead. It's not much long after that we find Janiyah in the middle of a hostage situation at the bank when her attempt to cash that bloody last paycheck raises alarm bells. The balance of the film plays like the trailer Perry version of John Q. Down to the Luigi Manigon, coded public rallying cry, trading injury for Spike Lee's insult. Perhaps the third act is frightened with pointed digression on the incredible racism in banking and healthcare system, and the inescapable Perry twist at the film's core is its own commentary on the black mental health crisis. As ever, Perry, who takes top billing once more as a film writer, director, and executive producer, engaged with many ideas, but none that he seems to fully understand. That includes black women, whom he does a tremendous disservice to once again. But the hatchet job may be lost on most viewers because Troy is one of the better films on Perry's great car. The pacing could be better for what is ostensible a 105-minute thriller. The day-night transition is particular or wild, and again the rain come out of nowhere. But Straw does not meander as much as Perry's other production. Sherri, who is typically at her best going for laughs, shines as she is sober bank manager who remains empty-taking in crisis. Teyana Taylor was equally impressive as a detective hostage negotiator who advocates for Janiyah. The only let-on in her performance was her wig, which is very much on brand for Perry. But yet again, it's Henson who delivers a powerhouse performance, while edging from distress to anger to win some compensation. It's just a shame that after hiring her for 4 films now, Perry is still treating her like a speed bag. In one of the scenes outside the bank, as the standoff at the bank deepens, a protest movement formats, and one Janiyah spotter holds up a sign that reads, "Nevertheless, she persisted," a much-named feminist slogan. Sadly, the irony is probably caused on Perry, ultimately a billionaire servant of the evangelical Christian Party, who is steadfastly committed to proving that the women afterward who make bad choices deserve all the pain and punishment they can get and some. This certainly won't be the last straw. Janiyah Wiltkinson's Taraji Henson, the protagonist Taylor Perry's latest feature straw, is having one of the worst days of her life. The trouble starts when her daughter Area tells Janiyah that she needs $40 to pay her school lunch debt. Otherwise, the administrators will publicly shame her again. Then Janiyah landlord threatens to evict her that day if she does not come up with rent. Things only get worse at work. Janiyah gets into a minor altercation with a customer trying to buy prohibited items with her V card, and her boss Richard Glim Torman, a central-kiosk old man, refuses to give her an advance on her paycheck. Later, when Janiyah confronts Richard about the money, the pair gets robbed by a masked gunman. The harrowing situation turns violent when the thieves try to steal Janiyah's backpack, which holds her daughter's seizure medication. A panicked Janiyah fights the assailants, steals their gun and shoots one of them dead. Then in the blink of an eye, she kills her boss too. As if in a fugue state, Janiyah grabs her blood-spattered paycheck from the desk and heads to the bank across the street to cash it. But her actions at the grocery store set off a Georgia estate, while police investigations and Janiyah's trip to the bank quickly turns into an unnerving hostage situation. After a brief detour into historical drama, a jazz mass blues and the 688, Perry returned to the overwrought melodrama that made him famous. Fans of filmmakers will recognize the melange of caricature and predictable plotting that propels Straw to its charged conclusion. The film bears striking resemblance to Abby Dramley's Corbin's riveting thriller Breaking, which premiered at Sundance a few years ago. In that film, Johan Boyega played a Marine veteran who robs a bank of $892, which is the amount the Department of Veterans Affairs owes him. His character, like Janiyah, is forced into a desperate situation by a system that has failed him. Michael K. Williams, in one of his final roles, played a hostage negotiator who establishes a rapport with Boyega's character based on similar backgrounds and a shared history. Williams' counterpart in Straw is Teyana Taylor, who plays Detective Raymond, a black woman on the force who understands Janiyah's pain when she realizes that a single mother has just reached her breaking point. Unlike the other officer, who believes that Janiyah set up her boss because of unknown grievance, Raymond knows he is a woman who has faced one too many obstacles. Their conversation consists of visually empowering conversations about how the world treats poor and working class black women with a cruel indifference. Straw at many points feels like a gender swap breaking. Instead of focusing on how the US feels black men in the army, Perry considers how society judges and mistreats black single mother trying to eke out a living. Straw is not the worst Perry film, but it suffers from the same problem that plagued all of his project. The narrative is cockful, heavy-handed metaphor, fussy plotting, and strained drama. The best part of the film can be attributed to Henson, whose performance imbues some of the most melodramatic beats with some genuine pathos. From the moment we meet her character, waking up to the thumping music of her upstairs neighbor, we sympathize with her, even as she struggles to make rent and get her daughter, who suffers from seizure, ready for school. Janiyah still finds time to acknowledge Manny, an unhoused man who begs for change outside her apartment complex. Janiyah meets everyone, even those closest to her, with kindness. But a single mother is also visible fatigued, shuttling from her daughter's school to work, fielding calls from administrations and bill collector. She can't seem to catch a break. So when she enters that bank, wielding a stolen gun and asking to cash her check for $500, there is a sadness to her desperation. Nicole, the branch manager played by Saf Shepherd, says that although she is afraid, still threatens Janiyah with compensation. Henson finds complexity within a character that, in Paris' workday screenplay, could have been flat and one-dimensional when Janiyah tells the scared patrons at the bank that she is all a misunderstanding. We don't see a malevolent figure but a woman on the verge of a breakdown. Straw moves from one plot point to the next in a perfunctory manner. There are some humorous moments, some eye-roll-inducing set pieces, and a few scenes of genuine connection. It's really the relationship between Henson, Taylor, and Shepherd character. Three black women trying to see each other in a world that renders them invisible. That makes Paris film easier to endure. Distributed Netflix. Productions company Tyler Perry. Cast Taraji, Henson, Sherri. Shepherd, Teyana, Tyler Glim. In stars Taraji Henson as a single mother struggling to care for her sick daughter, alongside Sherri Shepherd. She's just trying to survive, just trying to be a great mother to her daughter. And then the circumstances in her life cause her to be in these situations. Perry told Netflix publications about the storyline. I think that a lot of people around the world, no matter if you are a black woman or not, will be able to relate their feelings of I am at my last straw. Straw landed on the streamer on Friday and currently has an audience barometer rating of 80% on Rotten Tomato. It does not yet have an average critic score on the review aggregator. Currently watching Straw on Netflix, and it's been a long time since a movie touched me this hard. One viewer ever on X. I know it's just a movie, but it hits close to some home, thinking about people who are actually going through too much in life and are close to hitting their last straw. I don't care what anyone says about Tyler Perry. Straw was phenomenal, wrote another. Others specifically praised Henson's performance in the movie. In Taraji, Henson don't get a damn Oscar for this. I will raise hell. One fan pledged, this girl acted her as off in this movie. I cried so much watching this her ethic, ambition, poise, and resilience shown in this movie. She needs the credit she does not get. Every scene in this movie just traumatized me. Taraji Henson is truly one of the greatest actresses of her generation, added another. Film critics were less convinced by the project. The Guardian, Andrew Lawrence, argued that Henson's acting deserved more in his 2-star review. Yet again, it's Henson who delivers a powerhouse performance while edging from distress to anger to win some compensation. It's just a shame that after hiring her for 4 films now, Perry is still treating her like a speedbag, Lawrence wrote. Meanwhile, The Hollywood Reporter Lovia described the film as reliable over vote. Fans of the Perry will recognize the melange of caricature and predictable plotting that propels Straw to its charged conclusion writes again. The Washington Post bore after a withering trick. Few filmmakers portray the Black Americans' experience with so much heart and so little fans are Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry is back, and this time the editor and has turned his hand to a pressure cooker thriller in the form of Straw. This Netflix movie is simple in premise and execution, with a series of escalating incidents leading to misunderstanding, murder, and a standoff at a bank. The film does include a twist at the end. Although unfortunately, it undermines the themes of movie and feels designed more of shock value than as well as thought or surprise. The story here centers on a single mother named Janiyah. She works 2 jobs, is eking out a living, can barely afford to pay rent on her dingy apartment, and is close to breaking point. Unfortunately, today is going to be the worst day of her life. After dropping her daughter off at school, Janiyah finds herself in a trouble with the police fired from her job, and left on the street when she can't pay the overdue rent to her abusive landlord. Intervening in the middle of a robbery, Janiyah shoots the robber and then turns the gun on her boss and pulls his trigger, heading to a nearby bank with her bloodied check, her backpack, including her daughter's son's project, which looks suspiciously like a bomb, and a handgun. A standoff ensues as police close in her. The story clearly takes inspiration from movies like Falling Down, while trying to channel the same uneasy tension scenes in film like Phone Boat. The execution's thought is clunky with heavy-handed messaging and one-dimensional characters that struggle to break free from Paris' archetypical shackle. The movie attempts to make us empathize with Janiyah, plight, and while yes, we can obviously understand why she snapped. She murders two people and holds hostage in a bank. It's a wire-framing device, especially as law enforcement and in particular the heavy-handed FBI are framed as the bad guys in this situation. The story is a little hour-long at times as a result of all this, which is not helped by the frantic opening to the film, in an attempt to bring you into the Janiyah's world. The first 30 minutes are relentless. Expect quick cuts, full-on shouting, crazy antics, drama, and bloodshed. It almost borders on melodrama, but thankfully straw never tips over the edge into the partial water. I can't help but feel a more gradual build-up, slowly striking these misery cars before an inciting incident. This robbery turns everything upside down. Could have helped, especially if the misunderstanding was played up a lot more. This is a particular problem because the middle act of the movie slows down considerably as we start to understand more about Janiyah's life. You see, Janiyah's daughter, Arya, suffers from seizures and has asthma. She also appears to be billed at school. It's never outright said, but her teacher seems to hold a grudge against her, and is very much Janiyah's entire world. During this time, we also hear from some of the other hostages, who seems to understand why Janiyah is keeping them engaged. There will be sympathize with her. It's here we are introduced to the detective Kirimont, who empathizes with Janiyah's plight and tries to talk her down during their negotiation. She is also a negotiations expert from her time in the army. But aside from a couple of lines of dialogue about her past, we don't see a whole lot else from here. This is a real shame because Raymond, out of all the character, feels like the one with the most untapped potential. The movie never seems all that interested in actually fleshing out the cast through, instead keeping the attention squarely on Janiyah and, to a lesser extent, Raymond. Beyond that, everyone else is pretty much a one-dimensional archetype. We have the loudmouth landlord who curses constantly, the rude, prejudiced wet crops, and the older woman who sympathizes with Janiyah out of wisdom and lived experience. There is never much in the way of tension inside the bank either, which is not helped by the already knowing dirty items inside Janiyah's rucksack. It's not a bomb. I can't help but feel that a rewrite to obscure this from the audiences. So we are led to believe Janiyah may actually have a bomb, could have rechecked up a detention. Production-wise, Troy is pretty good, and the camera work is decent across the board. Taraji Henson puts on a really solid performance as the exasperated mom at the end of her daughter, and she really carries the movies forward. However, when you compare Satra to other thrillers of its kind, there is really not a whole lot here to write home about. The movie has a decent enough message, but it's muddied by the moral implications around Janiyah's action. While the intention is clear, the execution is sloppy, which is a shame, because there is a definitely potential here. Taraji is a psychological crime film from writer-director Taylor Perry. Blends emotional turmoil with sharp suspense to deliver one of Netflix's most popular thriller of the year so far. The film stars Taraji Henson as Janiyah Wiltkinson, a single mother caught in a whirlwind of personal and financial crisis as her days spiral out of control. So does her grip on what's right, what's legal, and what's even real. The grounded story quickly escalates into a nail-biting drama, with unexpected turns into a trial of bodies that leave viewers questioning everything. Perry strips the narrative down to raw moments of descriptions exploring what can happen when someone's pushed beyond their limits. Why does Janiyah hold up a bank? What's the real story behind her daughter? And what does it mean when someone finally reaches their last straw? We address those questions and dig into the intense final moments below. Here is Straw ending explained. The official synopsis of Straw sets the tone, stating, a single mother's word unravel in jaws as her day goes from bad to worse to catastrophic as she struggles to care for her daughter, pushed to brink by a world that seems indifferent to her existence. She is forced to confront impossible choices in a society that offers her no safety net. It's a devastating story rooted in harsh reality, one that resonated deeply with Henson. Speaking to Entertainment Weekly, the Oscar nominee said she was drawn to how Straw highlighted how easy it for people in a vulnerable position to be disgraded or by a system that is supposed to be protected. That seems to be still an ongoing thing in society today. She added, I often see people having mental breakdown on Instagram and people post in jest or making fun of it. But I am like, at the end of the day, was that person treated like trash? Or were they treated like a human who needed help? So I am always interested in that, and that's what I found very interesting about playing this character. This woman is just trying to make it through her day and take care of her child by herself, with all the odds stacked against her. I have been there before. After losing custody of her sick daughter Arya, Janiyah's life completely unraveled. A racist cop played by Chilky Jones runs her off the road, seizes her car, and confiscates her expired license. She also gets fired for leaving work and return home in the rain to find her belongings dumped into the curb by her landlord. Desperate for her final paycheck, Janiyah goes back to her grocery store job only to walk into an armed robbery. Held at gunpoint with her boss Richard. She is shocked when one of the masked men reads her name tag. She fires them off and even disarms one, shooting him while the other flees, dazed and panicked. She also shoots Richards during his 911 call and flees. At the bank across the street, Janiyah tries to cash her new bloody check, but without ID she is rejected. At her breaking point, she sets the robber's gun on the counter, and when the bank manager, Nicole, sees blinking lights from Arya's science project in her bag, she calls in a bomb threat to the police. Throughout the film, Janiyah fights desperately to reunite with her daughter, even as she faces severe criminal charges. Nicole and Dad, K. Raymond, sympathize with Janiyah's pain. She pleads with Nicole to care of Arya and promises they are arranged visit in jail. But tragedy soon strikes when Janiyah murder. Dolores Sherry's Fraser calls and delivers some shocking news. Arya dead from a seizure the night before. At his return out, Janiyah has been her daughter's presence altar, thoroughly lost in grief and denial. This twist was just as surprising to Henson as it was to her character. She recently told Insider, when I was reading it, I was like, reading the script, I was blown away. But then it made sense. in her action. Because what it showed me was she snapped a long time ago. She continued. She snapped the day before. She was just an automatic. She was not even in her body. To be quite honest, I just played the honesty of her living the life as if nothing happened. As Janiyah restless with the heartbreaking loss of her daughter, tension escalates outside a bank where she'll hold up. An FBI execution seems moving, ready to storm the building promising an explosive and brutal shutdown. The air is thick with jaws and soon tear gas is unleashed. Bullets seem to be fly and it feels like disaster is inevitable. However, the violence turns out to be a hallucination in reality. Nicole calmly talks Janiyah down, and she ultimately surrenders walking out of the bank as police surrounded her and Nicole. Jet Remond immediately stepped forward, positioning herself between the FBI and Janiyah. She cuffs Janiyah and then breaks the tension with a simple and gentle, "It's nice to meet you." In that moment, Janiyah turns and spots a crowd of protesters gathered outside, standing in solidarity with her and offering her support amid the pain of her deal. The line between reality and hallucinations blurred toward the end of the movie, but it does leave a clue. There are two confirmed mind tricks in Straw. The first is Janiyah hallucinating that Arya is still alive, even we know she died of a seizure the night before the bank heist. Her continued presence in representation of Daniel and grief, a ghost bearing the burden of Janiyah's unresolved anguish. And second, the image of Janiyah being shot dead inside the bank is mirage rather than an accurate description of how the standoff ended. However, as the film moves into the final act, additional doubts arise. Are the crowds outside the bank railing in support of Janiyah real? Or she dead, a part of her distorted vision? It seems that it's up to the viewer to decide what they wish to believe. If we accept that Janiyah is experiencing multiple hallucinations, not just that of Arya being alive, then the entire narrative shift. Her journey is driven not by reality, but by a series of fantastic stacks on top of each other. That proves she is simply trying to escape her daughter's death and the pain that comes with it. If the final scene is real, the crowd shows how people often take someone's personal tragedy and turn it into a public cause without knowing the full truth behind it. If it's not real, then the crowd is just one last illusion Janiyah gives herself to make the pain bearable. The Netflix thriller, which was released on June 6, stars Taraji Henson as Janiyah, a single mother struggling to provide for her sick daughter. Arya Gopi's reactions after losing her job and her home. Janiyah becomes desperate to get the medicine Arya needs. In a shocking moment, Janiyah goes to the bank with the intention of trying to cash a check, but instead finds herself carrying a gun and holding people hostage. As the film unfolds, Janiyah receives support from the bank manager, Nicole, Sherri, and Detective Raymond, who both listen to her struggle and try to escalate the situation. However, Janiyah must ultimately face hard truths as she figures out how to end the hostage negotiations. In true Perry fashion, the film also includes a shocking twist at the end. Henson told people cheered ahead of the movie's release, "I was drawn to his characters because I love giving a voice to the voiceless. I want anybody out here who identifies with Janiyah to know that they are not alone, and you are seeing and I see you." So what happened to Janiyah and her daughter? Here is the straw ending experiment. How does straw end? Janiyah is a single mother trying to care for her ill daughter, Arya, but as the expense from the medical bills end up, she finds herself struggling to get Arya the care she needs. The film follows her on the worst day of her life as she gets fired, evicted, and robbed at gunpoint. After she is framed for the robbery, Janiyah heads to bank to cash a check they needs to buy medicines for her daughter. However, she forgets she does not have her ID and is unable to get the money. On her last straw, she pulls out a gun from the robbery. The bank manager, Nicole, silently alerts authorities, and before she knows it, Janiyah has found herself in charge of a hostage negotiations. The lead investigator, Detective Raymond, finds herself sympathetic to Janiyah and encourages her to turn herself in. At the end, Janiyah eventually frees all the hostages in the bank. Just before she is about to surrender herself outside the bank, Janiyah gets a call from her mother, who informs her that her daughter had died the night before from a seizure. Janiyah then gets flashback showing her she was with Aria at the hospital when she died, but became so grief-stricken and traumatized that she automatically proceeds with her life as if nothing had happened. The movie then cuts to a scene showing the police breaking in and storming the bank to shoot and kill Janiyah. However, it turns out that it was only a hospital situation. In reality, Janiyah lets Nicole check her out of the bank and peacefully puts her hands up to get arrested. Although the film initially ends with the police storming the bank and killing Janiyah, she actually comes to terms with her situation before to get that opportunity. After remembering the truth about her daughter, Janiyah seems to be finally understand her reality and the gravity of her situation and surrenders herself to the police. The final scene shows police handcuffing Janiyah while she looks out at Spot chanting, "Free Janiyah," as she gets into the cop car. Hence, previously revealed that Perry originally wrote the script with Janiyah dying and Aria surviving, but he decided to switch roles. Then Perry said, "I can't do that to her," and the audience is because this will just then kill. Henson told Decider ahead of the movie's release, so that's why he ended it way why he did, which I thought was great. Throughout the film, Janiyah goes on her journey as she normally would to help provide for her daughter. She is seen walking up area, dropping her off at school, and even getting a call from the school principal about potentially calling child services over braces find on Aria's body. However, after she receives a call from her mother informing her of Aria's death the previous night, Janiyah reflects on the day and realizes that she was actually alone. In flashback, she realizes that the principal of Aria's school was confused when Janiyah showed up at the premises and called her later that day about overdue bills, not because of a threat from child services. The moment allows Janiyah to snap back to reality so she can safely turn herself into the police surrounding the bank. Later, Janiyah learns that Nicole knew all along that her daughter was dead after police informed her that Janiyah was in the midst of a breakdown. Nicole uses this information to successfully convince Janiyah to turn herself in. One of the final moments shows the two exiting the bank while holding hands and raising them up to the surrender. Before Janiyah gets escorted away, she thanks Nicole for saving her life. Meanwhile, Janiyah also finds support from Raymond, who seems to understand Janiyah's mental state and the consequent actions that spiraled out of control. The two women connect and Raymond listens to what Janiyah needs before surrendering. At one point, Janiyah learns that a police officer who previously threatened her life was present at the hostage scene, so she is scared to leave. Raymond works to identify the officer, but by that point, the FBI is involved and takes over. Despite Raymond no longer being in charge, she breaks the rules and approaches the bank with a photo of the officer, whom she believes was the one of threatening Janiyah's life. Janiyah confirms that it was the correct man, so Raymond assures her that he is no longer on the scene. The movie closes with Raymond putting Janiyah in the back of a police car as she willingly surrenders. Trailer Paris Raw, released on Netflix on June 6, 2025, delivers a raw emotional punch, weaving narrative that captures the crushing weight of systematic struggle faced by single mother, black woman, and the poor. Taraji Henson stars as Janiyah Wilson, a single mother whose life unraveled in single day through job loss, eviction, and the threat of losing her daughter area to child protective services. The film spiraled into a dance bank haste and hostage crisis, born from Janiyah's desperations, making it compelling exploration of poverty, race, and resilience. Yet it also serves as a reminder to us that of sequence of taking the law into one's own hands, a theme that resonates across borders but raises questions about plausibility in varying cultural contexts. Janiyah's story reflects the broader struggle of the black community and impoverished people worldwide. Perry, known of centering black women in his work, uses her character beams the essence of countless women who navigate these burdens daily. Straw's early scenes, where Janiyah faces eviction and harassment for authorities, strike a universal chord: poverty, regardless of race or geography, shapes individual of agency, pushing them to the brink. Janiyah's descent into a hallucinatory breakdown, imagining her deceased daughter's presence, amplifies this. Such extreme psychological unrevealing might feel foreign to some audiences, like Nigerian. A Nigerian single mother might relate to Janiyah's fight to provide for her child against overwhelming odds. However, the film is pivot to Janiyah's wielding a gun and holding hostage in a blank fields. Nigeria's culture and legal landscape, shaped by communal values and arguably strict law enforcement, makes such an act seem far-fetched. A Nigerian woman harassed or distraught might channel her frustrations differently, perhaps through protest or community support, as exemplified in 2020 Answer's movement. Young Nigerians fed up with police brutality organized mass protests rather than resorting to individual acts of violence. For instance, blowing up police stations would spark not solutions. In the US, Raw aligns more closely with real-world struggle, systematic inequality, job insecurity, housing instability, and biased policing mirror the lived experiences of many black women and single mothers. Straw draws parallel to stories like that of the film of disabled soldier storming a bank to demand his benefit, a scenario rooted in disparitions not unlike Janiyah. Henson's performance, raw and commanding, ground these moments, making Janiyah's pain palpable. Her character's arc from a devoted mother to a woman pushed to lawless reflect the breaking point manifest under system pressure. Yet the plausibility of her actions, particularly the hallucinations-driven hostage crisis, suppresses belief. Mental health crises are real, but the film's rapid escalations from hardship to armed stand-up feels more cinematic than credible in today's world, where such act would likely trigger swift, severe consequences. Trailer Perry's narrative underscore a critical lesson. No amount of suffering justice breaking the law. Janiyah's decision to take hostage, however sympathetic her plight, invites chose and endangers others. The film does not glorify her action, but portrays them as a tragic misstep. This resonates universally whether in Nigeria, where communal accountability often tempers individual outbursts, or in the US, where legal system swiftly punish such transgressions. The Answer's protest through unrelated exemplify a collective response to injustice, contrasting with Janiyah's solitary Her story asks what she should have done instead of questions left unanswered, forcing viewers to grapple with their coping mechanisms. Internet reflection, not violence, emerge as the film's great call to action. Fiction crafts a heightened reality. Our Perry uses keys to spotlight systematic failure. The bank he is, while dramatic, symbolizes the desperation of those ignored by society. However, the plot's plausibility winds into frantic, taxing, and melodramatic turns. Critics praises Henson's intensity and his film's emotional core, with some calling it bone-chilling, while others its reliance on trauma tropes. This divide reflects the challenge of balancing raw truth with cinematic access. In Nigeria, the film's themes of poverty and illness ring true, but Janiyah's extreme response feels alien. Nigerian single mothers might see their struggle in her, yet their solutions, community support, protest, or endurance diverge from her part. In the US, these stories' roots in systematic racism and economic disparity hit closer to home. Allocations driven his sustains credibility. Ultimately, Straw succeeds as visceral portrait of struggle but falter in its exaggerated resolution. It compels viewers to confront the cost of poverty and the limit of desperation, urging reflection over reaction.